well, welcome back. Let's continue on this line of conversation about Kwame Kilpatrick, the former mayor of Detroit, in prison, who has Sherry Gay Denyogo, state representative, at the White House, trying to petition, apparently on behalf of a number of people, the president to get him out. We're joined now by Nolan Finley, the Detroit News, political consultant Adolph Mongo. Adolph, let me start with you. What are your thoughts about what the president would do in a moment like this?
Well, he led every Tom, Dick, and Harry. He gave them a pardon. Criminals, corrupt governors, corrupt sheriffs, corrupt police chiefs, etc. So I'm looking at that criteria. He should let the former mayor out.
He should or he will? Or both?
I don't know. You know what? People throw this out on the table. Would the black community vote for Trump if he lets former Mayor Kilpatrick out? Not necessarily. I think what he's been doing, he should let him out right now. 8 years, he lost his law license, he lost his family.
Yeah.
It's just a mess. I thought that 28 years was just too much, and whatever 10 years, that might have been the best sentence.
Your Sunday Detroit News includes a piece by Nolan Finley about why this won't happen, to your way of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, Adolph's right. Trump's been letting a lot of people out, including some corrupt politicians. But the issue, I think, with Kwame will be that, one, he hasn't acknowledged his crime. He hasn't accepted responsibility or expressed remorse. And those are generally prerequisites for a commutation or for clemency. He still maintains his innocence. And, he's been a good prisoner, I guess. He's been a model prisoner. But that's a key element. There's also the matter of the missing money. The feds still have search teams out there looking for the money that he's accused of stealing, or he was convicted of stealing. They're not going to let him go and take advantage of any ill-gotten gains he may have had. It's also the fact that he was offered a plea deal. He was offered 15 years and turned it down. And the courts don't reward people who roll the dice.
Well, to your point that he hasn't expressed any remorse, it seems to me Rod Blagojevich still insists that he didn't do anything wrong. And he was basically caught on tape trying to sell a U.S. Senate.
At his sentencing, though, he did express remorse in an effort to try to get a lighter sentences. There's a difference between Blagojevich and Kilpatrick in that the former Illinois governor, didn't get his payoff. And the feds believe Kwame got quite a bit of payoff, in fact, several millions of dollars that, again, they haven't reclaimed, haven't managed to find.
But and I know, Nolan, that people of color get smacked harder than these other folks that the president has let off, and none of them that I know, former sheriff in Arizona, they didn't express any remorse of what they did. They doubled down. I'm saying is that Kwame Kilpatrick got a raw deal. Shouldn't have got 28 years. He couldn't even go home and wrap up his business because the judge threw him in jail. And yet the feds let out a serial killer.
Well, let's talk to that.
28 years is
it's ridiculous.
I thought it was the only one who thinks.
No, I thought at the time it was, but federal sentencing guidelines are based, like real estate assessments, on comparables. And the comparable they used in the Kwame case was Jimmy DeMora, a Cuyahoga County, Ohio County Commissioner, who was convicted on almost the same exact charges, basically racketeering, using his office as a criminal enterprise. Same charges Kwame faced. The sentencing guidelines for him were the same as Kwame, 30 to life. He also got 28 years. This was the same year Kwame was convicted,
but he ran his enterprise for 20 or 30 years. He was the man in Youngstown. So
I'm not sure the length of the crime.
It was an enterprise, though. But
it was criminal. It was racketeering, running a criminal enterprise.
I just have a problem.
He got the same sentence.
But I got a problem when You had an official in Macomb County get indicted by the feds and was allowed to leave the country. So yes,
let me ask you this, Adolph,
yes.
because you pointed out that it could complicate the way maybe some Detroit voters think about the president. Could it complicate the way suburban voters think about the president if he were to? Because
no.
Kwame Kilpatrick is not popular in Macomb County.
Wait a minute. President Trump said he can shoot somebody in the middle of the street and they still vote for him. So if the president decides to commute his sentence, I don't think he's going to lose any votes in Michigan.
Every vote he picked up in Detroit, and I doubt he'd pick up many, if any, he'd lose 2 in the suburbs. I agree with you.
I don't think so.
Kwame Kilpatrick was not popular among suburban voters.
We will march ahead and see what happens. Guys, thanks very much for your thoughts on it. It really is an interesting arena. We come back, we'll talk with Dr. Frank McGeorge about coronavirus. This is Flashpoint on Local 4.